what are you doing to ensure that this constitution works for every South African? Therefore, because of the critical role that the Constitutional Court and the judiciary in general has to play in transforming our society through the Constitution, we owe it to this country and generations to come to make sure that we don't have a compromised judiciary. We have got to be interested to know how people get to be appointed to office. You have got to observe carefully. You have got to watch carefully how people are being interviewed, because there are times when you can tell certain people are being shielded from being asked critical questions. And the question is, when that happens, who is doing it and what is the agenda? How can you have an independent and competent judge or magistrate who, when questions are sought to be put to him or her, people build a scrum around him or her? Any competent judge or magistrate or a candidate aspiring to be appointed to that position must demonstrate his or her capacity by fielding the toughest of questions. But if people are now caucusing about a certain candidate, you must know there is an attempt to corrupt the judiciary. You must know there is an attempt to capture the judiciary. And a captured judiciary will never be able to use the Constitution as an instrument of transformation. Because any captured member of the judiciary will simply be told or will know in advance, when so and so are involved, I better know my place. Or when certain issues are involved, well, the decision is known in advance. So and so can't lose. Be on the lookout, be vigilant, and be forceful in making uncomfortable anybody who seeks to establish a pliable judiciary. Madiba himself said, our constitutional democracy hinges on the judiciary. Guard the judiciary jealously. And another way of doing so is being very critical of us when we do wrong things. Madiba said, I hope I'll find the quotation having not been reading. Well, I remember it anyway. He said, one of the things we needed to do as judges is to give reasons for our decisions that an ordinary man can understand. You must be worried when you read a judgment and you are struggling to make sense of it. Judges were enjoined by Madiba, and they ought to know, we ought to know, that partly we account through our judgments to the public. Now, if you write in such a way that the public can't even understand what you are doing, what kind of accountability is that? We don't write for lawyers, we don't account to lawyers only, we account to every South African citizen. So you must watch us carefully. Who do we associate with the most? Who are we uncomfortably or indecently friendly to? And check judgments when those people are involved. Does it make sense? Madiba said, on the occasion of inaugurating the Constitutional Court, You must be true to your oath. Don't be rubber stamps. We are the ones who administer an oath to the president, the deputy president, ministers, deputies, and members of parliament. And we do so expecting them to be loyal to their affirmation or oath of office. How hypocritical can it be if we expect people before they take office in line with the Constitution to commit to doing what the Constitution demands of them when we don't do the same thing ourselves? So please watch us closely. Otherwise, our constitutional democracy is gone. I'm not saying there is something wrong with the judges, by the way. No. I have absolute confidence in us. But complacency can set in. And remember, we wield extensive powers as the South African judiciary. I'm tempted to say I'm not aware of any judiciary anywhere in the world that wields the kind of power that we do. There is almost nothing we cannot do through the instrumentality of the Constitution. Now, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Madiba said, speaking to the Constitutional Court judges, constitutionalism means that no office and no institution can be higher than the law. The highest and the most humble in the land, all without exception, owe allegiance to the same document, the same principles. It does not matter whether you are black or white, male or female, young or old, whether you speak Tswana or Afrikaans, whether you are rich or poor, or ride in a smart new car or walk barefoot, whether you wear a uniform or are locked up in a cell. We all have certain basic rights, and those fundamental rights are set out in the Constitution. One of those basic rights is found in Section 24 of our Constitution, which guarantees us the right to an environment that is not harmful to our wealth or well-being. A protected environment preserved for future generations, free of pollution and ecological degradation. But our environment is polluted. I keep repeating that I saw a worrisome documentary on Al Jazeera sometime this year, saying that somewhere around here, a certain mine decided to dump highly toxic material. Children are mentally disturbed as a result of that, or incapacitated. They showed goats and sheep that are crippled, some of which are blind, all traceable to a greed-driven pursuit of wealth. They contacted and interviewed a geologist, a South African, who said, I cautioned these people about the danger. They said it was too expensive. Too expensive when human life is involved. And what did we say? Because I'm not the only one who saw it, but I think I'm speaking now for the fourth or more times about that incident. The reason why there is no change is that even when there is something shocking that the Constitution demands of us to contribute towards rooting it out, we mind our own business. We say nothing about it. Who is talking about that highly toxic material? What are we doing about it? And if nothing is done, it means others elsewhere will be emboldened to dump more and more toxic material. Our rivers are toxified as we speak right now. Our dams, our oceans. Who is saying what about them in view of what just happened to Mozambique? In view of what just happened in India, in America, as a result of the love of money, the worshipping of money that doesn't care about fundamental human rights. Society within which none would have arisen to be ashamed of his or her state of affairs. So if you want to know what kind of South Africa, Africa, and the global village we, the people of South Africa, desire and plan to have, examine our constitution. But let me say at this early stage, very little is going to be accomplished for as long as we allow our people to be ignorant of their rights in the constitution. You can't fight for what you don't know. You can't fight for what you don't touch. It's almost as if we seek to take advantage of the ignorance of our people by not doing anything. The greatest facilitator of sustained injustice is keeping people ignorant of what they are entitled to. That is why the smaller version of the likes of Long Walk to Freedom were impermissible for an African person, a black person, to possess during the apartheid era, because it was known, once you have been enlightened by what Madiba had to say about justice and equality, you were going to take actions as South African on a massive scale. Now that extends, the need to know extends to constitutionalism, because knowledge is power. Nelson Mandela went on to say, open quotes, "Today we cross a critical threshold. Let us now draw in strength from the unity which we have forged. Together grasp the opportunities and realize the vision enshrined in the Constitution. Let us give practical recognition to the injustices of the past by building a future based on equality and social justice," close quotes. We need to be strong and united as the people of South Africa. We never used to be united as black and white people of this country, as you know, but unity is essential for the realization of what Nelson Mandela refers to as, open quotes, the vision enshrined in this Constitution, close quotes. We have to give practical expression to the injustices of the past. And anybody who says, please stop blaming it on apartheid and colonialism, is being mischievous. What we can do what we cannot do is to blame it all on colonialism and apartheid. But most of the problems that we have to contend with right now are a direct consequence of colonialism and apartheid. It is therefore absolutely necessary that we never stop talking about colonialism and its sister neo-colonialism and apartheid, because then you leave those who have always believed in this crime against humanity to be comfortable. And to shape it in a sophisticated way, in such a way that it doesn't quite look like discrimination when in fact it is. We would be betraying the legacy of Madiba if we don't give practical expression to the injustices of our past. And the question is, what are those injustices? Racism that is still alive, ethnicity, tribalism, gender discrimination, and exclusivity where it matters the most in the corporate sector. It's an injustice. have the responsibility to build this country. We have a great country, good people. Let us not waste time polarizing society. Let us not waste efforts and energy seeing ourselves as white and black people as if we are enemies. Let's focus on principle. Let's confront and expose any institution and anybody who practices discrimination. And let us look for practical steps to put an end to this injustice. It really is a shame that 25 years down the line, we still have so many of our people suffering as much as they do. It is a shame that inequality has become sharper during our constitutional democracy than during apartheid. And check who is at the top. Madiba went on to say, on that occasion of signing our constitution into law, open quotes, let us nurture our national unity by recognizing with respect and joy the languages, cultures, and religions of South Africa in all their diversity. We need unity now more than ever before. It has got to be something that each and every one of us worries about on a daily basis. And the simplest way to start is to seek to understand or to know more about another. As a South African, you've got to want to know other languages. We can't just be learning English. We've got to know Chivenda, isiXhosa. If you are committed to building the unity that we so desperately need, and without which we will be as stagnant as we have been, or relatively stagnant as we have been for the past 25 years. Know the languages, know the cultures. Seek to understand the situation of your fellow South Africans. And we must allow, in line with what Madiba said, others to practice their faith freely. There is an incredible intolerance for certain faiths. It's almost as if the Constitution doesn't provide for them. Where there is intolerance, there will be conflict, and where there is conflict, there is bound to be disunity, and once we are divided, whatever it is that is our enemy will take full advantage of us. Highlighting what could be achieved through the Constitution, Madiba said, and I quote, the same time when he was signing the Constitution into law in Sharpeville, he said, above all, let us work together in striving to banish homelessness, illiteracy, hunger, and disease. In all sectors of our society, workers and employers, government and civil society, people of all religions, teachers and students in our cities, towns and rural areas, from north to south and east to west, let us join hands for peace and prosperity. In so doing, we will redeem the faith which fired those whose blood drenched the soil of Sharpeville and elsewhere in our country and beyond. Today, we humbly pay tribute to them in a special way. This is a monument to their heroism. Today, together as South Africans from all walks of life and from virtually every school of political thought, we reclaim the unity that the Vereniging of 9 decades ago sought to deny. We give life to our nation's prayer for freedom regained and continent reborn. God bless South Africa. Nkosi sikelele iAfrika. Morena boloka setjhaba sa etso. Hot South Africa, close quote. The Constitution is a powerful weapon against homelessness. Section 26 of the Constitution says so. Against illiteracy. Section 29 of the Constitution says so. Against hunger and disease. Section 27 of the Constitution says so. So whatever business, labor, government, and civil society does must take account of the need to get more people enjoying these benefits. We all must work together to accomplish this assignment. People died in Sharpeville and elsewhere in the country to end these inhuman conditions. The Constitution was signed there to remind us of these realities. The signing of our Constitution was meant to turn the Constitution into a monument to the heroism of the people of Sharpeville and all those who fell and suffered during the liberation struggle. So we must never allow ourselves to forget what many people like President Nelson Mandela had to endure for me to be standing here as Chief Justice, allowed to address a crowd like this, confident that there won't be any tear gas coming my way. Anybody with a functional conscience must seek to identify his or her responsibilities as contained in our Constitution. If you are indifferent because you occupy a position that pays you well, if you are indifferent to the plight of the people in Diepsloot and elsewhere in the country because you are comfortable, you live in a suburb, know that you are a traitor. And you are a traitor of our Constitution. You are a traitor of Nelson Mandela. You are a traitor of any other person who suffered for us to get to where we are. This is so because the Constitution places a responsibility on each and every one of us, regardless of age, to contribute towards ending the injustices of our past. Sometimes I wonder, are they of our past? And sometimes I lament why we don't have colonialism and apartheid in our Constitution. Because they would have served as a constant reminder of exactly what it is we mean when we say there is a need to give practical expression to the injustices of our past. To the leaders of faith-based organizations, Madiba himself said on the occasion of signing our Constitution that we have a national prayer to say, we must pray. The way to transform our society using the Constitution is partly by praying. God bless South Africa. God bless Africa. God protect our people. We should not be ashamed of praying, and we should not be made to be ashamed of prayer. When you pray, you are not insulting Bishop Mutula. You are making a request for your people. Whether it will be granted or not is a different story. Now, we need institutions to actualize our shared aspirations in the Constitution. And one of them is the judiciary. Articulating the critical role that the judiciary has to play in transforming our society through the Constitution, Madiba said in 1995 when he was inaugurating the Constitutional Court, open quotes, the last time I appeared in court was to hear whether or not I was going to be sentenced to death. Fortunately for myself and my colleagues, we were not. Today I rise not as an accused, but on behalf of the people of South Africa, to inaugurate a court South Africa has never had, a court on which hinges the future of our democracy. It is not just our blessings that we give to their work, confident as we are in their integrity and commitment to justice. It is an institution that we establish, South Africa's first constitutional court. And then he went on to say, we owe our thanks to the Constitutional Court, which has proved a true and fearless custodian of our constitutional agreements. One of the things one discovers when coming into office is that there is no shortage of rubber stamps. South Africans did not establish this court to be another rubber stamp. We expect you to be creative and independent. We expect you to be true to the oath you have just sworn, close quote.